child, I was participating in a youth group, and we used to study parapsychology and UFOs.
So when UFO exists, what was the research all about?
When I started to visit the temple, Srila Prabhupada had just left the planet shortly before. And my friends in the parapsychology group who visited the temple, they brought the news that Srila Prabhupada had departed. And
Acharya left suddenly. So what all difficulties the movement went through, and what have you learned from all these things? How you survived? How preaching stabilized, and how your role as when did you take initiation? When did you decided that I will take sannyas, and what inclined you? And now you're very vigorously preaching the message of Bhagavad Dharma.
I accepted sannyas from His Holiness Yadunandan Swami Maharaja.
So Maharaj, I heard that you joined Krishna consciousness when you were age of 14.
Yes, I was 14 years old.
So I would like to know a life before that. What exactly make you join Krishna consciousness in age of 14?
As a child, I was participating in a youth group, and we used to study parapsychology and UFOs. UFOs, you know, this
UFOs,
extraterrestrial beings and so on.
Unidentified flying objects.
Yes. So we had a group like that, and then through some friends from the group, I got to know Krishna consciousness, and then started to visit the temple. And after 1 year and a half of visiting the temple, it's a longer story, but to make a longer story short, my parents gave me permission to go to the temple, to live.
So, parents were practicing Christianity?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, they're Christians, but not so strong practitioners. Nice
Pious people.
Pious people, but they didn't go so much to the church, only for special festivals or celebrations.
So when UFO exists, what was the research all about?
We read many books, and we even...
What was the conclusion?
Well, the conclusion, I wanted to go to Ganymedes. Ganymedes is a satellite of Jupiter. So I was reading books, and I would like to go there, but Krishna saved me and gave me something better. He wanted to get out of this Earth planet, so he is making the arrangement for that.
So, when you joined ISKCON at the age, when you came to which temple you came, and how was your first interaction? What attracted you?
I came to the temple in Barcelona. What attracted?
Where is it?
Barcelona is in Spain. I was born in Spain, 30 kilometers from the temple in Barcelona, and I started to visit every Sunday. The first time I went to the temple, I felt so enthused by the kirtan of the devotees, because we had kirtan with my friends in the little group. We did a little kirtan among ourselves. But when I experienced the kirtan at the temple, it was much more intense. So I felt I want to come and live here. So I was attracted by the kirtan, by the philosophy, by the prasadam. The devotees were very kind to me, very friendly. They gave me affection. I was 14 years when I started to visit the temple. So I felt also very much welcome and cared for.
This was in the year 1977?
1977.
This was just after the December. Prabhupada was on the planet when he joined?
When I started to visit the temple, Srila Prabhupada had just left the planet shortly before. And my friends in the parapsychology group who visited the temple, they brought the news that Srila Prabhupada had departed, and we even had our little, in our own way, our little celebration with kirtan and some prasad. We had a little altar and offered some fruits and cooked some halava and some few preparations.
And then it was very interesting because I have often heard from a lot of Prabhupada disciples that was the phase when I heard from Guru Govind Maharaj also. When the Acharya leaves, there is always a dark period. And so when Prabhupada departed from the world, naturally, a movement which was very young, it started with devotees who were also just very young in Krishna consciousness as compared to now. So, very interesting scenario. Acharya left suddenly. So, what all difficulties the movement went through, and what have you learned from all these things? How you survived?
Yeah, at that time was the period of the Sonal Acharya days. And in Spain, I remember there was like a transition because the temple president in Barcelona at the time was Jaya Prabhu, Srila Prabhupada's disciple. He was from Argentina. I think he had been in Mexico, and he had been either president or temple commander in Krishna Balaram Mandir. So when he came, he wanted to bring Hamsaduta Maharaj at the time, but then the son belonged to Bhagavan Das Prabhu at the time. Later on he took sannyas. So yeah, that was a whole period. There were some tensions. Then there were two sannyasis from Venezuela who started their own. They shifted out from ISKCON, and one of them actually even they tried to get me initiated by him. By Krishna's grace, it didn't happen. They went back to Venezuela, and I stayed in Spain. So I experienced all these some tensions of the transition. Who is going to be the next authorities, so to say?
Because now also the situation is more or less similar, because Prabhupada disciples who are prominent spiritual master in our society, they are departing, or gradually they will be departing. So a similar kind of situation will arise, a state of confusion that especially the disciples, they don't know what to do. They think like that. They don't know what to do. So what advice would you give?
Yeah, I think we should take Srila Prabhupada's advice that you will show your love for me. That was one of his last instructions. By how you cooperate together to maintain ISKCON, to maintain the mission. So that's important that we keep together cooperating and build up, yes, a spirit of Vaishnava, spirit of serving together and helping each other. If in some place there is a crisis, go there and support, like that. Sometimes it's unavoidable that there will be crisis in this material world. Even in Lord Krishna's time, Mahabharata, Lord Ramachandra Ramayana, so crises are always there.
Yes, and very interesting things. Since you take on the topic, when the Samantak Jewel pastimes, even they blame Lord Krishna.
Yes.
Even they blame Lord Krishna. So it was very. I will say what a pastimes to learn. And Lord Krishna also was not left of criticism. They also took people, his own people, Dwarka Vasis criticized. Lord Krishna.
Yes. So what to speak of us? We are so small and
very insignificant. So So that when how many years was this whole situation, Maharaj? And because you have seen that, how many situation, and when do you actually realize that now things are much better, stabilized? How many years it took?
I mean, in the Spanish Yatra, we went through several periods. We had, after Srila Prabhupada's departure, physical departure, because Srila Prabhupada is present through his Vani, like we also learned from Bhagavatam that Arjuna, when he remembered when the Lord departed, he was able to find solace in remembering Krishna's instructions. So Srila Prabhupada is present in his Vani. But after his physical departure, the Sonalacharya period started. So that was 1978. Then Bhagavan Maharaj, he took sannyas, he was Grihastha. I think that was another of the misunderstandings. From the first 11 gurus, there were 2 who were Grihasthas. And they had pressure, there was some type of social pressure that they should take sannyas, maybe to come up to be recognized like the other 9 who were sannyasis. But for them, it would have been better to remain as Grihasthas and preach as Grihasthas. What's the problem? It's like you are doing, you are traveling all over the world, and you are Grihastha, you have 3 children, so it's very natural. What's the problem?
Probably it was not natural then.
And online you can preach even more. Before we didn't have this possibility of preaching online. But I can say 1986, maybe I should give a summary of what happened in Spain. 1986, the leader who was GBC and the zonal guru decided to step aside. He's still Vaishnava and he still follows Srila Prabhupada, but at that time he retired from his responsibilities. He wrote a letter. So that was a very tough period because the whole yatra was united under only one authority. When that authority goes, then we were kind of in the air. There were, of course, Srila Prabhupada's disciples who were there and who helped, and some of them came to visit and to give support and attention. So that happened. And then after 10 years, one of the authorities who had come, who became a GBC and Guru, also gave up. So it was like a second wave, we could say, of a similar challenge. Not every yatra when experienced that, but some yatras did.
So the preaching, now our goal as a society, this society is exclusively formed for spreading Bhagavad Dharma. So how preaching stabilized, and how your role as when did you take initiation? When did you decided that I will take sannyas, and what inclined you? And now you're very vigorously preaching the message of Bhagavad Dharma. So what had inspired you to dedicate your life?
Yeah, I mean, in my case, I have a natural vocation for monastic life. So family life didn't attract me, didn't call me. So I was serving in the ashram. First, when Bhagavan Maharaj left, 1986, I stayed in New Brajamandala as vice president to help. The president was a younger devotee, very capable, but for him was a very big responsibility. At that time, I wanted to come to India. That was my natural inclination. But then I felt I cannot go and leave this devotee alone here. I should give support. So I stayed as vice president helping him. And then later on, His Holiness Yadunandan Maharaj, he was regional secretary for some time. So he asked me to go to Barcelona and take responsibility as temple president there. So I was for some years taking responsibilities in Spain, and what attracted me the most is education and preaching. So even though I did some management, and I'm still doing, it's kind of, because sometimes there is the need and I'm still doing the service, but what I feel more inspired to do is education and preaching, Bhagavad Dharma, the Mahamantra Hare Krishna, so that people will chant and really start to practice devotional service.
So, which year you took Harinam initiation?
I took from Bhagavan Maharaj in 1979. I took re-initiation from His Holiness Swarup Maharaj in 1989. So I took first and second from Bhagavan 79 and 81. Then in 89, I took re-initiation from Swarup Maharaj. And 2009, I accepted sannyas from His Holiness Yadunandan Swami Maharaja.
So your decision for sannyas, how did you conclude that I want to? I know you have a life of, but sannyas and brahmachari life too. There are people say that the same thing, but it's same and the same at the same, not same things. Sannyas means it's a different thing. Not just change of the dress, but it's a bigger responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And there are many brahmacharis who prefer just simply staying as a brahmachari. And but I personally, on personal level, I have been serving in the sannyas ministry for nine years. But I personally want that all the brahmacharis should aspire for sannyas, because that's how it should be. The ashram, from sannyas ashram, should directly go to the from brahmacharya ashram to sannyas ashram. They're not entering into grahastha life. So that, what was that your decision? Or who your spiritual master gave, or you took your decision?
Yeah, I mean, we had discussed this for a long time back. I wanted to take sannyas quite early, but then in those years, due to many sannyasis giving up, the GBCs told me, slow down, take some time. And I felt it was good to wait longer. And then I did this research on sannyas. I interviewed sannyasis and ex-sannyasis. It was published as a book, The Lives and Challenges of Vaishnava Sannyasis in Modernity. So basically I wanted to learn from both the success stories or the stories not so successful. Don't assume that I'll do better than them. I need to see what worked and what didn't work, so that I can enter into that path with more learning and I can apply it in my own practical experience.
So today's how will you inspire the brahmacharis and the grahasthas for this ashram?
To take sannyas?
Yes. Will you inspire them or not?
Yes. If they want to do it, it's important. I don't think that anyone should do it because they are told to do it, but they should do it because they want to do it.
Yes.
So for grihastas, it is good to go through the vanaprastha period. Like for instance, in Spain, we have His Holiness Bhakti Gauravani Goswami Maharaj. I think it's also in the sannyas ministry. And he went through the 4 ashramas. And his family life was a life, we could say, successful in that he was getting along well with his his wife and the children, but he decided to go through the 4 ashramas. So he's a good example to take into account that grihasthas, it's good that they contemplate at least to go to Vanaprastha ashrama, Panchasorvam Vanam Vrajet. That's the maxim quoted by Srila Prabhupada in his Bhaktivedanta purpose. At some point when they had become 50 or a little after 50, around that time. And for brahmacharis, if they are going to preach, yes, take sannyas and travel and preach all over the world. But should be that they want to do it and they want to commit. Because otherwise, if they commit and then don't sustain it, then it's not good for the ashram.
I completely agree that the person who is the candidate should be more willing to be, because he has to maintain the dharma of the sannyasi, not the guru. He has to maintain the sannyasi. So Prabhupada was more inclined towards making sannyasis, and then he was more inclined towards making grihasthas.
I think both. He wanted to engage everyone in preaching. Like, he was proud of his grihasthas, went to the UK, and did what accomplished what his sannyasi brothers. They did more than what his sannyasi brothers did, and Prabhupada was proud of his grihastha disciples, who preached with so much courage. And also he gave many sannyasis, 50 plus sannyasis in sannyasi initiation, and sent them to preach all over the world.
But these days, we find that not many people are inclined towards studying scriptures. Because the world, which probably 10 years, 15 years, I joined ISKCON in around 2000, the world was different. Now, 24 years later, the world has changed completely. And very few devotees will see them studying. And actually on the leaders' side also, there are very few leaders actually. I'm sorry to say this, but we should be open to this, to the discussion. And probably many of them who are listening to us, I want to understand from you, Maharaj, how is your study on a personal level? How do you study, and what is your? I'm not like sadhana, but I want to know about your studying of scriptures.
Yeah.
How is it?
I mean, in my case, I study a lot for preaching, so in that sense, it's a blessing to serve in education and in preaching. It's a blessing. Like for instance, I recently, Dharmatma Prabhu, the secretary of Krishna Balaram Mandir, asked me to give Srimad Bhagavatam class in the temple in Vrindavan. So it was the Leela of King Nariga. So I took several hours to go through the chapter, to read, to look at the commentaries of the acharyas. So in this way, I learn myself, and I'm able to share it also with others. So for me, that's a blessing. And in that sense, I will recommend devotees to preach, because when devotees preach more, that forces one to study. Of course, we should also study out of transcendental service and pleasure to hear Krishna speaking as the Bhagavatam, or hear the acharyas commenting the Bhagavatam. So both we should do. But in my case, I do a lot because I preach a lot.
You have to give classes.
So then I like to prepare. I don't like. Of course, I can speak on the spot, and Srila Prabhupada recommended that as well. We should be able to speak on the spot, but it's important to, I think, show respect for the audience, to prepare the class and to go through the books, the purports, and so on.
So, what difference? What happens? I mean, there are many devotees who, I have come across many devotees who say that they're not willing or interested to study. for some reason they just like to chant or just like to hear classes. That too over online classes and here in person. Their physical association is getting reduced by sadhu sangha, and also when not getting time to physically associate with sadhu, and also they don't are not inclined towards studying. So how do you see and what do you guide them? How do you guide them?
Yeah, I mean, it's important to study the books because it's like eating. When we eat, we need to eat every day. Like nowadays, people are not reading because there is so much distraction through these gadgets, these devices, and people waste a lot of time on internet and superficial matters, and therefore they don't read so much. But even if somebody uses too much internet and but doesn't eat, that's actually a big problem. It's an addiction and should be treated. So similarly, if somebody doesn't study Srila Prabhupada's books, doesn't study Srimad Bhagavatam, Shastra, and so on, it's like not eating. If a person doesn't eat properly, will become anemia, or will get different types of illnesses. So it's important for keeping healthy, there should be a combined program of, this is what Srila Prabhupada taught. Hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, chanting at least 16 rounds, and studying the books, worshipping the Lord, associating with devotees, all the different angas of bhakti. So study is very important.
I know you as a scholar. You have been teaching to universities as well. So how is in the Western world? How is our preaching on the university level going on? What are your projects and what are you doing for spreading this Bhagavad, the culture of Bhagavad Dharma? So how are you? Because I know on a personal level you are doing a lot of things, a lot of preaching in universities as well. You have a doctorate degree as well, Maharaj?
No, I have a master's degree.
You have a master's degree.
Because I joined the temple quite soon, so when I moved to Bhaktivedanta College in Radhadesh, I was requested to take the responsibility as the principal of the college, but I didn't have academic studies, so I said, how can be the principal? I told the devotees who requested me to do it. But they said, no problem, because we have scholars, devotee scholars from Oxford will come and teach, and you have experience in studying Srila Prabhupada's books, so you will be able to do well. So there was when I got the opportunity to do a master's degree with the University of Wales, with whom we had a partnership. But before that, my university preaching was in Spain, in the area of humanities. We met one professor named Juan Prat, and he had a student who did his doctoral studies on the Hare Krishna movement in Spain. So through him I was able to go to many universities and to lecture. That was before I moved to Belgium to the Bhaktivedanta College. I was at the college from 2002 until 2014, serving as the principal. And then in 2017, I focused more on Spain. Even before that, I was going back and forth, college and Spain.
So in overall situation in Europe, we see that the devotees are there, but they very few of them are as considered temple these days. So what's happening? I mean, this has been traveling since 9-10 years now, and there are devotees there practicing Krishna consciousness, but coming to temple, that's gradually slowed down. So why do you? I mean, what are the reasons?
Do you mean living in the temple? Or?
No, I mean associating with temple on regular basis.
I mean, temples, of course, if you compare the temples in the West with India, of course in India you have
Hundreds of them.
What percentage of the world population is in India? It's so big.
Yeah.
I mean, there is people everywhere, and people they have roots of Sanatana Dharma. That's the tradition in India. So people naturally feel inclined to attend the temple. I know in the West we're getting also many Indians coming to the temple. My stand on this at the present moment is that we need to establish partnerships between ISKCON India and ISKCON temples in the West, and do combined strategies to preach to the locals. Of course, the Indian diaspora also, that's wonderful, but that's happening, but also preach to the locals. And we need to find the ways how to attack them, because it is possible. And if, in the places where there is preaching going on, it is demonstrated that it is possible to attract some Westerners. But we need to combine efforts.
Yes. India and West should work together.
Yes. That's Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction. Parata bhumile hoila manusya jammajar jamma shartaka kori kara para upakara. So that's instruction to
Yes, there is.
all Indians.
There are a lot of preachers here, and they can naturally, can contribute on a much bigger level when they go to the Western world and spread the culture there, instead of just in 10 kilometers there are 100 preachers, so they can go out and preach. So that will bring difference to a lot of people.
Yes, and even help to organize better the temples. Like in India, ISKCON is very, very steadily organized. In the West, due to lack of sufficient devotees in some temples, it's not that well managed. So that's necessary to combine efforts.
What is your plan? How do you want to do it? How can we do it?
Well, I already approached Govardhan village. Then COVID came and it was a whole thing. But we had discussions about the partnership. I had conversations with Radheshyam Prabhu from Pune. But his strategy is more, he's focusing on North America. He doesn't want to spread too thin. So we need to build it up gradually. It will take some time, but that's required.
So now we are in 2024. You wrote a book on sannyasa in modernity. So I want to ask you a question about Krishna consciousness in modernity. Now it is becoming very challenging with all the Netflix, Prime Video, and all the different kinds of distraction coming to the younger generation, with all the facilities to shorts, reels, this and that has occupied the mind of the younger generation. And even while chanting also, they can't live without the phone. We can't live without the phone. I would not like to take myself away from it, but I'm also get sometimes addicted to that. So how will you guide us, Maharaj, when this addictions is all over the world and it's around us 24 hours? What strategies or how will you help us?
Yeah, I think it's good to leave the phone in the room during sadhana time. Leave the phone somewhere. It's not like the hand. The hand we need to chant mala, but the phone we don't need at japa time. So put it aside for some time. It's good to learn to disconnect. It is healthy for the mind, for the body, for the soul.
But not just japa, Maharaj. It has affected everything in our Krishna conscious life, like the chanting, the reading, the hearing. Devotees don't want to go to temple these days. They just want to sit in the comfort of their room. And they just want to hear it online. And so we are going away from the personal association of devotees and becoming more and more. These days, Mangal Aartis, they don't want to do it on the phone. They don't want to go for Mangal Aarti. They do it on the phone. Even if it at home, we can do it at the home. But no, we do it Mangal Aarti in the phone. So uh, how how to, I mean, this generation, younger generation, what to do, Maharaj?
Yeah, it is not the same. Personal association cannot be substituted by online association. It's no way. I mean, no point of comparison. But sometimes when somebody lives far from the temples, that's understandable.
Yes.
They have to do it. But people who have a temple nearby, just don't be lazy. Just walk or take the scooter or whatever, the bike, the car, and go to the temple.
So I want to take this opportunity to thank you for all your services you have been selflessly rendering for last more than 40, 45, 50 years. And it's not easy being a devotee in a dynamic society like ISKCON. And you have been very steady and have been always been inspiring others. And so definitely devotees must have thanked you, but I want to thank you
Thank you very much.
on behalf of all the Society of Vaishnavas. I want to thank you for your glorious services you have done for the Vaishnava community, Maharaj.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It has been a pleasure to have this chat with you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
As a child, I was participating in a youth group, and we used to study parapsychology and UFOs.
So when UFO exists, what was the research all about? I think so, right?
When I started to visit the temple, Srila Prabhupada had just left the planet shortly before. And my friends in the parapsychology group who visited the temple, they brought the news that Srila Prabhupada had departed. And
Acharya left suddenly. So what all difficulties the movement went through, and what have you learned from all these things? How you survived, how preaching stabilized, and how your role as when did you take initiation, when did you decided that I'll take sannyas, and what inclined you, and now you're very vigorously preaching the message of Bhagavad.
I accepted sannyas from His Holiness Yadunandan Swami Maharaja.